Welcome to The Preferred List, a podcast about the people behind the best wedding days. I'm James, a wedding filmmaker. I've spent years in the industry working alongside incredible vendors, and this show is all about the real conversations with the ones who make it happen. Whether you're a vendor or a couple, you'll get honest insight, good stories, and maybe a little inspiration along the way. Let's meet today's wedding vendor. Hi, Tyler. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to have you on. Tyler's in this unique part of the industry, and so I'm so excited to talk more about that. And before we started recording, actually I hit record, but before this is starting, she told me more about the bridal showers that she's planning and putting on for the brides that she gets to work with. So we're going to talk more about that as well. But before we do, we are here at Harmony Forge Inn. Harmony Forge Inn is nestled into the rolling hills of Bellefonte. It's just 15 minutes away from Penn State, and it features a historic house built in 1795, a newly remodeled creekside lodge, and a rustic barn with some modern touches. And if you haven't met Billy and Casey, they're just great people, and they definitely go the extra mile to make sure that their couples are taken care of. And they're always putting in the work to make this place look even better than it already does, which is so fun. And you're friends with them as well?
Oh, yeah. I've gotten to work here a couple times.
Yeah, it's so fun. Tyler, I'm so glad you're here. Graze by TJ. I'm so excited to kind of jump into all of the things that you do in your business. But like I say to most of my guests, at some point you weren't a business owner. You didn't have Graze by TJ. And at some point you did. You started it. So could you take me back to the beginning and give us a little insight on what your business is?
So before I had Graze by TJ, I actually owned a restaurant. Not
No
to throw
way.
another curveball at you
You're
there.
curveballing like crazy. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so when I was 22, I took on a seasonal restaurant right down the street here. So I was a business owner before I was a business owner.
Yeah.
But to my second year into the restaurant, it was COVID. So it
Okay.
was a slower year for me, and I started this second business, but it started as weekly meal prep. So it wasn't even the catering. I did
Interesting.
fully cooked, prepared meals that are microwave ready. So it started as that. During COVID, it was like the no contact delivery, things like that. So people really took to that. And then from there, the way the business kind of evolved into what it is now is that I just really never said no. I had someone say, "Hey, could you make me fruit and veggie platters?" Yeah, sure, I can do that. Can you make me a grazing board? Yeah, sure, I can do that. And then my cousin was the first wedding that I did. She said, "Can you make a grazing spread at my wedding?" I mean, no, I never have before, but sure, yeah, I can do that. So I did, and then posted a couple pictures, word of mouth, and then it just like spiraled from there. And it turned into now I'm catering full weddings, doing the grazing spreads, catering bridal showers, baby showers, all the events.
Yeah, that's so funny how you sound like a business-minded person. There's definitely,
I would say.
there's definitely like a person where you're like, oh yeah, that's not a thing that I've done before, but like, yeah, I could do it, and I could also just like make it a business, and like it can grow and be this bigger thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, the curveball, man. So you were running the restaurant.
Hmm.
You had to pivot,
Hmm.
like a lot of people had to pivot.
Yeah.
And then you just pivoted again. I'm guessing the grazing table thing, like, it wasn't probably on your radar at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. I really was thinking restaurant long term. It was a seasonal. I was there only 6 months out of the year, and the rest of the year I just kind of hung out and relaxed and did some part time jobs and different things like that. But so I just thought, yeah, this is good. I'm pretty content here, and that was all fine. And then, like I said, it was the second week into my second year that the whole world changed, not just mine, but mine did. And so I just changed right along with it, and the opportunities came, and I just really never said no.
Yeah, if you're a vendor out there and you're in this weird in between or something's changing, I mean, take a note from Tyler. Like, you
Roll
just,
with
yeah,
it.
you gotta roll with it. And it might turn out to be something better than you probably imagined.
Oh, absolutely. And even if it's not, like, the first initial pivot was the meal prep, the weekly meal prep. I don't do it anymore. I just kind of dropped it recently. And it was good while it lasted, but that wasn't a long-standing thing where the grazing tables have lasted me for years or so now. So the original pivot, and I leaned into the meal prep, but it really wasn't where I was meant to be. But then the opportunities came for the grazing tables, and that's just where I find myself now. So
Yeah, that's so fun. Did you have uh restaurant food experience before?
no, I'm an accountant.
What?
I do tax returns.
What?
Yeah, I went to school for accounting and I've done tax returns for,
So
I don't
you
know,
just
7 years or something like that.
numbers to food?
I guess,
Yeah.
yeah. I managed the restaurant for 2 years. So I should
Okay,
say that. I
okay.
managed the restaurant and
There's
I
at
had
least a
like,
connection there.
there's
There's
a,
not, it's
I
not
didn't just
totally
jump,
out of the blue.
I didn't just jump into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was an accountant and through school worked a couple food service jobs and then was managing the restaurant, and it was an opportunity where it's like, no, we're selling, so if you want to buy it, I'm like, that's great, 5 years from now that would be amazing. They're like, no, right
I can work
now.
right now.
I'm like, okay. So
Yeah. What was that decision look like? How did that It sounds like you weren't really in the spot to do it, but you did it and now and now you're here.
yeah, yeah, that's my life in a nutshell,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, I was managing a restaurant and they're like, yeah, you want to buy it? I'm like, yeah, sure, in a few years. No, right
Right
now.
now.
Okay, so you just make it work and you find the way to do it. And I did it. And I was there for 6 years as the owner. And I actually just walked away from the restaurant last summer.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
So that is kind of giving you an opportunity to kind of lean into Graze by TJ even a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. It had, over the last couple years, Graze by TJ had expanded so much that um, I was turning people away from these weddings or
Gotcha.
the caterings because I was so devoted to the restaurant. And like, you just have to be
Yeah,
there.
you
As
have
a
to be.
business owner, you have to
Yeah.
be there. I did have a ton of staff, but it is what it is when you're the owner. And yeah, I really was devoting more time to that. And I could tell that my focus wanted to be on the grazing. There's a lot more freedom in that,
Yeah.
especially with my time. It's not a set open to close hours. So I definitely wanted to lean into that. And I realized after about a year that that was trying to do both, that were keeping up. I also have a 2.5-year-old son. So by the time I
Yeah.
had a baby and then a restaurant and then
Yeah.
another business, it was like, okay, you can do all
Something's
the
got to
things, but
give.
yeah,
Yeah.
something has to kind of cut back. And it just was a clear decision that the restaurant had to go so that I could be the best mother, the best wife, and the best business owner to the smaller business.
Yeah.
So
I will say if y'all haven't worked in food service, you should because
yeah,
it
everybody should have
yeah.
to. Maybe preferably in high school, like
Yeah.
right out the gate.
Yeah, don't quit your good job
Yeah.
or
Work
whatever.
in
Yeah.
work in food service when you're in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It wasn't high school for me, it was college, but
Yeah.
either way, it's so fun to see how the journey, the path you've been on, uh it's like clear in some ways, but also just like so murky in other ways.
Mhm.
Um I'm just curious, like, what drew you more? I know you said some of the flexibility, but was there anything else that drew you more to the kind of grazing tables, the catering side of things?
Mostly flexibility, but also like I have the freedom to be as creative as I want with those. At the restaurant, like this is the menu, this is what you're cooking.
Yeah,
And that's just that. These grazing tables, I've never made two that have looked exactly the same. So I have the chance to show up to a blank table, and half the time I don't know if I'm getting an 8-foot table, a 6-foot table, a round table, a bar. I have no idea. I just show up that day with a minimal plan, and I get to just look at the space and just create something that's beautiful out of food, and I get to use my God-given talents for something like that. And that's
yeah,
just so cool compared to being in a restaurant and making cheeseburgers because
yeah.
that's what I was doing.
Which I do love a good cheeseburger,
Me
but
too, but
it's not as aesthetically pleasing,
correct.
I'm assuming. So could you paint a picture of like even just as simple as like what is a grazing table? Because in my mind, I've been at some weddings where they've had them and they're elegant and also functional, but
Mhm.
maybe someone's listening, a couple's listening is like, oh, that sounds awesome, but like, what is it? Like, is it taking the place of something else that would be at cocktail hour or what's that look like?
So it's basically just cocktail hour snacks in a pretty form. So on all of my spreads, I do meats, cheeses, fruits, veggies, crackers, and dips. So you get a whole variety of items that your guests can snack on during cocktail hour. And that's usually when you're getting your photos or you're mingling around, but it's something to entertain your guest while keeping them happy and fed prior to that full meal.
Yeah, what are you kind of pulling on for inspiration for the specific layout that you would do once you're there at a wedding? You see the space. Is there something that you're like seeing that kind of inspires you to kind of lay it out in a specific way?
Every spread is different. And there's nothing really specific that I look for or that is really an inspiration. I just go and I have general things that I do. And I actually teach charcuterie classes as well. So when I teach them, I always tell them to start with your dips and then your cheese and then your meat. So I follow the same process when I'm doing my setups. So I start by placing those items down and just start with some sort of flow. But there's really nothing that I just kind of go into it blind every single time.
Yeah, no, that's so fun. I would imagine it's fun to put it out in a different way,
Oh,
just
absolutely.
because it's never the same, and that in itself, I mean, you're going to a new place, a new table is going to be set up, and that must be so fun.
Yeah.
Um, are there sort of like the same meat and cheeses and dips and crackers that you're putting out, or are couples like, hey, I really love this type of spread, or I really love this type of fruit, and you can kind of put a little bit more like specific stuff that the couple is liking out?
Yeah, I can do that. Most of the time, I just have my standard meats, cheeses, fruits, etc. Like I have the standard ones that I always use, and most couples just kind of roll with that. I do have some that say, we do not like this food item, or we have an allergy, or we really like this food item. So I've seen where they've asked me that, and I've added those in if I could, but for the most part, it's just the standard that I always use.
Yeah, and is there like a structure to like what couples can get in the grazing tables where like one's maybe a little bit smaller, one's like a huge long table, or is it kind of like custom?
It's custom. I price per person. That
Okay.
way, so they give me their final head count towards like a couple weeks before the date, whenever they have their final head count in, and I charge per person because that helps me and the couple as well. They're not overpaying for something. I don't have blocks where it's like, you either get 150 or 200 people and they're sitting in the middle at 175 and they're overpaying or underserving.
Yeah.
So I do per person. That way it's everyone wins in that. I feel like I'm not providing too much where they're having so many extras, or I'm not providing not enough or overcharging or anything like that. So I think everybody wins with the price per person.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I'm curious, like there's a lot of weddings that will have like hors d'oeuvres kind of coming around on some sort of tray or something. I'm curious to know your kind of opinion or thought on like how different or more beneficial is a grazing table as opposed to like maybe some type of like served hors d'oeuvre.
I'm a people person. So for me, and when I talk to my couples for their wedding, I like the idea of a grazing table that's sitting in place and it gets people moving around the room. I've also helped talk with like when they're setting up their dessert table or their guest book and things like that. And we try to strategically place them around the room so that people move around, like interact with other people and get to go in one corner or the other corner. So I like the table, the appetizer cocktail table at one place versus past hors d'oeuvres. Obviously, I don't do past hors d'oeuvres, so I'm a
Yeah,
little
a
partial,
little biased, but
but
that's okay.
a little biased. But that's part of the reason behind it too. Like I like people to mingle around and get to speak with others at the wedding and just celebrate the entire day.
I mean, you're painting a good picture for the benefit of the table,
Hmm.
opposed to the hors d'oeuvres that are being brought around. Because I do see like when they're doing that, people are grouped up, they're talking
Hmm.
to maybe friends or family. They don't really move around a whole lot.
Hmm.
But if you have to go over to get that snack or to get that, cracker, cheese, whatever it might be, you're gonna end up bumping into some new people, and then maybe like you're saying, people person in you is like kind of creating some new
Oh,
friends or new
absolutely.
conversation,
Yeah.
which is so fun. Uh, do you have any other advice for couples kind of planning that cocktail hour time to kind of have it flow super well, or I mean, even just a little past the table, just so like it kind of feels like your table is a part of curating a fun, enjoyable cocktail hour. And I'm curious if you have any other insight for couples kind of planning that time.
I think advice for couples during the cocktail hour would be to make sure you're a part of it. I've seen where couples take that time to do their photos, which is an excellent use of that time. But I think prioritizing coming in at the end and making sure your photos are wrapped up in enough time that you can still mingle around. You can go to the grazing spread. You can check out who has already signed your guest book, and you can mingle around with the people who are there to celebrate your love for that day. I just think that's really important.
Yeah, I do like asking for sure. Like, do you want to be there? Because if
Yeah.
you do, then we need to kind of fight for that because we can oftentimes get a little like head over heels in the photo
Oh,
session or the
absolutely.
video portraits where it's like we're just having a great time, we're just flowing and vibing with the couple. But if they want to get to cocktail hour, like if we know that in advance, like we could definitely make that happen. You're kind of showing up, maybe your setup. You can talk to me a little bit about your setup too in this, but like you're showing up and kind of setting up a table within maybe something that a planner has kind of curated a space for you to kind of jump into, or maybe a florist has kind of laid out some floral design for the table. I'm just curious, like, how's that process for you, like working alongside of other vendors to kind of, we're working all together to kind of curate the space, but obviously your table is, a part of you, and what you're providing. But what's that look like working with other vendors?
I like to make sure I get a chance to chat with the bride about this spread. If there is going to be floral arrangements there, I want to make sure if it's the center focal point, I can work around that. That's great. If they're going to be like this wedding I just recently did, the caterer had some sort of dip in meatballs that were also going to be part of the cocktail hour. So we incorporated them right on my table. That's fine. That's great. I love being able to work with other vendors and do that. And we just communicated ahead of time. And I made sure the other caterer and the bride and the groom were okay with the setup that we were working with. But I think it's really awesome when we're able to all kind of put all of our passions and work together and it all comes out nice on the same spread. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, do you often end up working alongside, like, I would say the main caterer, just off the, like they're
Yeah.
providing like the big meal, but just like the idea, are you like often working alongside of them, or are you kind of off doing your own
I'm
thing?
typically off doing my own thing. Like this most recent wedding, when we had everything on the same table just during that cocktail hour, that might have been like the first time that I've done that, maybe the second. Um, but it's not very typical. It's usually like just my spread, and then they are setting up in a separate area. That way they can still be setting up during that cocktail hour.
Yeah.
But so no, I'm not usually working with them. But the couple times that I have, it's all been pleasant experiences, and it's really fun to see their work and my work alongside one another.
Yeah, I could imagine it'd be fun to like, having those hot meatballs and maybe some other dip. Like, it kind of brings your table to life in a new way because you're not bringing that kind of stuff usually. I imagine that would be pretty fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just added a little bit more to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there other logistics that couples should be taking into consideration before booking you or someone like you that are putting together these grazing tables?
I think it's all in like what you want for your day. I do think thinking about what your cocktail hour is going to look like, and that is helpful in prioritizing a company that does the grazing tables. Just because you want to make sure your guests are taken care of as well on that day. It is a day all about you, but you want to make sure your guests are happy during that time and
Yeah.
downtime, and you don't want to take away from your photos. So if you kind of keep them happy for that hour or two, then you can really put your focus in your own photos and those photos that you're going to have forever.
Yeah.
So,
I'm curious, the setup time compared to like when cocktail hour actually starts. How much time do you need to get that table put together?
um, I always ask for about an hour. I
Okay.
don't ever take a whole hour, but again, I walk in blind most of the time. I have
Yeah.
no idea what kind of table I'm walking into. So I like to have an hour that way if there's something crazy I need to adjust. But the whole setup with the food takes about 30 to 45 minutes depending on size of the party. But I like to have it finished right as the ceremony is starting, or I mean, the ceremonies nowadays are about 12 minutes. So, um,
Yeah, we had one this past weekend. We're filming this in September, and it was like 5 minutes long.
oh my goodness,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I,
Which to each their own. Like you can
oh,
have as long or as
absolutely.
short of a wedding as you want.
Yeah, I do try to communicate that before
Yeah,
I do. I'm
I
like,
do need to know how long this
yeah,
is.
yeah. So what time does your ceremony start? I always ask that question because I like to be done by the time the ceremony starts, especially if it's on the same grounds. I have where the reception is at a different
Yeah,
location. I have a little bit of a leeway there, but if it's at the same location,
they're
I'm like,
coming right over to
yes.
you.
And I've had that happen before. Like I'm setting up and they're taking as I'm setting up because the specific bride didn't want me to start until the ceremony started.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do live and learn on some of those things.
Absolutely.
Uh, is that really how you're kind of keeping things looking aesthetically pleasing and fresh for the guests? Is like you're really kind of waiting until sort of the last chunk of time, and it's like as soon as you're kind of putting that last strawberry out or something for a visual person, you're kind of stepping back and people are kind of coming over and getting started.
Typically, yeah,
Yeah,
typically. I try to sneak out within like 5 or 10 minutes if I can. But again, every venue is different. Here at Harmony Forge, I have set up and then taken off because they do have multiple locations and their cocktail hour might not be exactly where the ceremony was. So I can kind of sneak out and drive off and not have to be right there. But there's other ones. I actually have a few girls that are on my staff and they set a table up and the ceremony was in a field and it's walking distance to where they were setting up and they had like strict instructions, do not start your car until the ceremony is over. Like you may sit in your car but
yeah,
you cannot leave because they would have to drive right
right
past where
past
the
it,
ceremony was happening.
which
I'm
would
like,
not be funny, but it also would be hilarious
yeah.
after the fact.
After the fact, yes, but I'm like, please don't do that
Please
to
don't do that.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As a business owner, you're like, please don't.
Yes, please do not. I said sit in
um,
your car until
yeah.
3:45 just to be safe.
So you just mentioned a little bit of a team.
Yeah.
What's that look like for you?
So my team is ever changing. When I had the restaurant, I had some staff that worked with me and they kind of helped me with my start and all of this. They were in college. They are getting older, and so
Yeah,
they're focusing on their careers and things at this point. And so now I'm back. I'm located in Mill Hall, which is near Lock Haven University.
yeah.
So I have a couple girls that go to the university now that help me out when I need help, and I have another girl that goes to Penn State Altoona, but over the summer she's local here. Just a couple girls that help out. I actually coached them in volleyball a few years ago when they were
Oh,
in high
cool.
school. So that's how I got my connection with them. But yeah, just a few staff members and call my family in when I need extra help. But
Yeah, because sometimes you just need help getting stuff from your car to the
oh,
table, and you're
absolutely.
still able to kind of do the heavy decorating kind of
Hmm.
part of it. It is funny though, because I feel like the more I talk to people, the more I'm like, as a business owner, no one's really going to care as much about the business, about its maybe somewhat the success of everything, but like it's kind of on you to make sure that things are going
Oh,
and going
absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. I actually had a customer a few months ago. She had said something to me along the lines of, when I hire you, I hire you. You're a small business, and like I'm excited that I get to work with you. You're the owner, you're the one that comes out, you prep the food, you bring it out. And that kind of hit me because it was like I'm approaching that threshold where it's like, do you take another pivot in my life and add multiple staff members and
Yeah.
do multiple bookings in a day because people are asking, the bookings are there, but I am only one person and I can only do so much on my own. But when she had said that to me, I'm like, you know what? I kind of appreciate that. And maybe right now is not the time to pivot and be a big small business and
Yeah.
just continue to be a small
Be a big small
business.
business. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. No, it is true. I mean, it, I hear about it a lot in like the video photo space is like if you're not getting that person day of, the experience could be completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
And not necessarily that your thing is super client facing, but if they are excited to work with you and have you there, if you're a vendor listening, like they're kind of booking you for you
Yeah,
in a
and
lot of
you're
ways.
you're important to them. Like they chose you for a reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely that's where I was at with that. And I'm glad that the customer said that to me because I would have never thought that. Because to me it's like, well, if you can please more people, then that's better. But that's not always the case.
And as a business-minded person, and I'll just say, like, it's okay if you want your business to grow and make more money and do all the things. Like, we're good with that.
Oh yeah.
As a business-minded person, though, you're kind of thinking like, hey, this might be the next move. I want to grow my business. I want to be able to help more people. You're not trying to do that just to make more money, just to make more money, but you can provide more for your family and you can, go after whatever financial goals you might have too. But there's definitely more that goes into that decision, which is kind of what I'm hearing from you now is like, maybe don't do it just to do it. Like, make sure that, across the board, it makes sense to
Oh
kind of
yeah,
make that
absolutely.
move.
Take some time to think about it, which is where I'm at, and I've been still sitting on it for a few
Yeah.
months because I just don't feel that that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Again, I have the 2.5-year-old, and so it's like, this is everything is manageable right now, and I can spend so much time with him. So money is not always the priority, I
Yeah,
guess.
for sure. So before before we hit record, I'd actually already hit record again, but I was asking you more about your business, and I feel like we were just peeling back the layers of the onion and just like learning new things. Because I knew the grazing thing, but now you're telling me that you're also doing some level of like event planning, and what you said you're really excited about and what you do a lot of is bridal showers. So catering, you're telling me like balloon kind of setups, arches, backdrops. Fill us in on where all of that came from and what it all is.
So I actually started back in my restaurant days. So I had mentioned it was a seasonal restaurant. I was only open 6 months out of the year. So over the winter months, the restaurant sat closed. So the first year I did that meal prep and added that in. And then the next year, it was like, this is a wasted space almost. Like, what are we doing with this? So we renovated the inside and made it look a little more modern. And I opened it up to be a small party venue. I only had less than 50 seats, so it wasn't huge, but it's the perfect size for bridal showers, baby showers, things like that. So that's kind of where that all started. And with the venue and the space, and then I have the kitchen and I cater, and then I added in my decorations. You could have I call them walk in ready parties at the same venue. Like it's fully catered, fully decorated, everything, you just show up. And that was a hit with bridal showers mostly because you always have the mother or the sister or sister-in-law, someone planning, and they're at the point where it's like, this is overwhelming. We're still working on wedding things. Like someone
Yeah.
just take care of the shower. Um,
And it's an
and I feel
important
that.
it's an important party to have.
Oh,
Like we
absolutely.
obviously want our brides to feel pampered and have all the girls together and have that moment
Yeah,
because they deserve it. But
absolutely.
what you're
Absolutely.
saying is like that space provided a one-stop shop. They could just
Everything.
like it's all ready to go. You
Yep.
just walk in.
Yep.
No moms are taking care of it. No sisters or
No, and
bridesmaids.
everybody got to enjoy the day at
Yeah.
that. And there was no stress like from the moms or sisters or things like that. No one was stressing about the day. I did right down to the games, the printed games or
Yeah.
things like that. Everything was taken care of. Now I no longer have the venue, so but that's the only thing I don't have that I can provide. So if you get the venue, and I can still provide fully catered, fully decorated services for bridal showers. And like I said, we do table decorations, centerpieces, runners, all of the things. And then the balloon arrangements, the backdrops. I even have a peacock chair, all of the fun things that you would want at your bridal shower.
Yeah. So maybe there's a bride, soon to be bride listening, and they're like, I'm overwhelmed with my bridal shower, or my girls are overwhelmed. My mom is overwhelmed. Maybe there's a mom listening, and
Yeah.
she's like, oh man, this party, I want it to be so special. Um, what's your best advice to kind of make it personal, make it fun, make it exciting, fit the vibe of like the bride, like who she is, kind of that personal side of things?
I always say to have a good conversation, whether it's me as your planner or your mom or whoever, just sit down and have a good conversation. Like, this is what I want. I'm also that type of person.
Yeah.
Like, I plan my own showers and parties and things like that. Um, so, but like, have a good conversation and know exactly what they want and get that out of them in a less pressured situation so that they don't feel like they're planning the whole day, but you still know what they kind of want to make it special and exactly what they want for the day.
Yeah, because I feel like it is a special moment. It can be overwhelming, but if you're able to clue in on like, hey, this is a party for you. Do you have any preferences, or like do you have any way that you want it to be, or what we do there, or even like the food? I'm assuming that you can pretty much make any sort of tray. Like what kind of food are they usually having for these kind of parties?
So for showers and things like that, I call it an incorporated table. So it's your grazing table, but we incorporate sandwiches and salads in with it. So it's a full
Gotcha.
meal then. So I actually have a website, and so you can pick from the menu. I do two sandwiches and a salad option on that incorporated table, and so that's your perfect size lunch for an event like that, or your late lunch, however, whatever time frame you're thinking for that. I also have brunch menus and things like that. So,
Yeah, so it's fun. You have like sort of the grazing table, but also so it looks
yeah,
cute,
it still
nice,
looks
fits the
nice.
aesthetic, but you also have a little bit more there for sort of that late lunch or sort of partial lunch, I guess. Like they could grab like a half a sandwich or a salad or something to kind
hmm
of fill out their plate.
Yeah, yeah, they wouldn't need additional food. So, as like at your wedding for your cocktail hour, you have the grazing table and that's their snack before their main meal. But the incorporated table at the showers and things like that, it is their full meal. You don't have to have another caterer in addition to the grazing table.
Yeah, that's so fun. And you're also doing all sorts of like decor, decorations, the balloon arch, the backdrop. Like, how are you helping either mom or maid of honor, or maybe it's the bride herself? Like, how are you helping them kind of figure out like what's the party gonna look like? What's the decoration gonna kind of be?
I prioritize being able to send them photos ahead of time, whether it's my work or inspirational photos from other work. I like to at least have conversations so we have some visuals ahead of time. And then just being able to work with them day of or day before, something like that, on exactly what they want, matching colors and everything like that. I think that's just really important to be able to do, and I'm also a visual person usually
Yeah.
for things like that, for the decorations especially. So being able to send a photo or things like that back and forth, that's helpful.
Yeah, it seems like they could come with all sorts of ideas or no ideas, and you can kind of craft that vision of like, what's the party gonna look like? What's it gonna feel like? What are we gonna do? And you also have that opportunity to like, it's fully catered. They don't have to worry about any of the food either.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I also offer, I mean, yes, the full walk in ready, but we can do as much or as little as you want. So if you come and say, we're going to take care of the table decorations, the centerpieces, but can you do balloons and the grazing table? Yeah, that's fine too. Absolutely. You're not locked into me doing every single thing. It's totally customizable, which is, I think, helpful to the customers because sometimes you have mom who put hours and hours into these centerpieces and it's really special because mom made those and we want those. We don't want them from someone who they don't know and they hired, which
Yeah.
totally understandable. Or whatever it might be, they have the linens or runners, they already have them. So why am I paying you to provide them?
Yeah.
Totally get that. Yeah. So that's one thing that I pride myself in, that it's totally customizable. Like you're not locked into anything. What you see, I have a basis of things just so you can get a starting point, but we can add or take away as needed.
So I can imagine that like most brides, I mean, even for the grazing table or the party planning side of things, the bridal shower side of things, like the customization, I have to imagine that like most couples are like loving that they could just kind of create their own adventure with you.
Oh, absolutely. But honestly, a lot of them don't. Like
Okay.
they just come to me and they're like, "This is what we want," and I spell it out for them what I do, and they're like, "Great, we
Sounds
love
good.
it.
Yeah.
That's fine."
Show up and do your thing.
Yeah, yep. And they fully trust me, which is amazing to have that. Like other people were trusting me. They're like, "Yeah, we'll pay the invoice. It's 175 people. That's great."
Yeah.
And
Sounds
they're
good.
just like, they show up. You just show up, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Please show up.
Please show up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
No,
love
yeah.
that.
They can customize, but really, honestly, a lot of people don't. They don't. They just fully trust. And I guess that could be like where they have seen photos or
Yeah.
advertising before. So they've seen my work or they've heard of my work or they've been at a wedding where they've seen or eaten off of a grazing spread that I've done. So that would probably be where that trust has come from. They've seen it before.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not, they're not finding you randomly and then like just throwing out all this like sort of haphazard trust, but,
Yes,
maybe been at an event before or a glowing recommendation from a friend that can go a long way. Um,
absolutely.
well, it's been so great having you on, Taylor. I didn't know all the things that we were even going to talk about when you were scheduled to come and film this episode. And I hope everyone that's listening or watching and listening, you guys know all the things about the grazing tables. And if you're in that party planning stage, trying to get your bridal shower planned and have a great time at it, it seems like is that under Graze by TJ as
Yep,
well?
it's all the same.
Okay,
Yep.
so check out Graze by TJ if you're looking for party planning things. There's also some other events that she does as well, so definitely check her out for that. But it's been great having you on. Where can people find and follow along with what you're doing?
We're mostly on Facebook. We are on Instagram, and we have our own website, which is grazebytj.com. But every social media is found under Graze by TJ. I'm trying, because I did mention I have some college girls that help me out, trying TikTok.
Love it.
I'm not in college, so I'm
Yeah.
learning as I can. They laugh at me the whole time. But we do try some TikToks. That's under my personal TikTok, Tyler Webb. But
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
What stuff do you have coming up that you're excited about?
I'm just excited for all of the weddings. It's fall, so that means we have a ton of weddings pretty much every weekend. So just excited for all of those coming up.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being on. You provided a whole bunch of insight, and I can't wait for everyone. Hopefully they got so much from what you provided for this episode. And if you liked everything that you heard from this episode, make sure you are sharing it with all of your friends and liking in all the places that you can like a podcast episode. And I appreciate you guys tuning in for this one. That's all for this episode, and we'll catch you guys next time on the Preferred List.